Peak Wealth Management proudly presents Finding True Wealth with certified financial planner Nick Hopwood and accredited investment fiduciary Jim Pilat. Nick and Jim believe by making simple, good financial decisions, you can retire with confidence. And now, let's turn it over to your hosts, Nick and Jim.
Welcome everyone to the Trust the Plan podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Jim.
And Jim, we have two events coming up. Want to remind you again, June 29th of the halftime report at Fox Hills, the economic update and market update featuring JP Morgan. And then also the August 17th summer party, the top of the peak party here at the office with entertainment and food and Alan the bartender.
He's always a highlight.
That's right.
And new grass.
I'm here for Alan.
And we got some new grass in
Knock
there.
on wood, I hope so, yeah. But also Joel Klatt, who is, if you're not familiar with Joel Klatt, he's the color commentator on the big noon kickoff for Fox. Mm-hmm. He has a great podcast. I've been listening to it for the last year, and I think he does a great job. Okay. And he covers a lot of Michigan games because Michigan is often the number one viewed game of the weekend in college football, particularly in the Big Ten. So they'll make Michigan the big noon kickoff or whatever. So Joel came out with this top 25, springtime top 25, and no surprise, number one, Georgia, Michigan number two, Ohio State number three, and number four was Alabama, and number five, here's the real surprise. Any guesses?
USC.
That's what I was expecting.
Yeah?
Penn State.
Penn State,
Yeah.
Huh? Wow.
He says they're loaded, and I just didn't expect that because they have a new quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They just lost their quarterback.
I kind of feel like when you have a new quarterback coming in, there's just so much uncertainty. But I mean, some of these kids, they just come right in. Like look at C.J. Stroud, right?
But all four of those top five teams you just mentioned all have a new quarterback.
Yeah, that's right. So who's the Georgia quarterback? I don't know.
Don't know.
But and he said that who was the guy from Georgia last year?
Stetson.
Stetson Bennett. So like, I feel like if he would have been a 5-star recruit, everyone would be like all over him. But because he was a walk-on, no one gives him any credit. It's like, well, he's just a system quarterback. The guy was awesome.
Yeah.
He
got the job done.
He was great. I watched the national championship game from the camera that's over the sky cam.
Okay.
And it's like kind of right behind the quarterback, and like the dude was just awesome. So obviously all the players around him are outstanding. But so even with a new quarterback, they've got him number one. And he said if Ohio State had C.J. Stroud back, that they would have been number one. So there's some uncertainty pushing them down to number three. But we have everyone coming back on offense. It's like a stacked offense at the talent positions. And on defense, we've been really good on defense for many, many years, so I don't really have any concerns there. So your feelings on Michigan at number two?
I like it. It's always fun to see them ranked high like that. It shows other people are optimistic like we are. So, getting me excited for the season coming up.
I feel like the biggest surprise was Penn State, like I said, but I do have Penn State tickets. So my first time going to Happy Valley.
Nice.
So I'm super excited about that game now that apparently they're going to be good.
Yeah.
But I traditionally do not look at any of these preseason rankings or, August Heisman awards, right? Or the recruiting rankings, even though Michigan's number one. I put very little stock in any of these things. People will forward me reports in August about how great the team's looking at camp. But then you have a 2020 where everything looks so great, and then they can't do anything. By the way, 2020, Joe Milton, right, our quarterback from the year that was benched, he's like, I saw on Twitter, like one of the top 5 quarterbacks supposedly for the draft.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not drafting this kid, okay?
It shows you what, they just look at this raw athletic ability and everybody thinks they can turn it into the next great, MVP.
Yeah,
but
his arm is incredible and he's fast, like he's huge, but like he runs out of bounds on the last play of the game when you're down 6.
Right.
Like you have to at least throw it.
I don't think he's ever been known for his accuracy either.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, check out the Joel Klatt podcast, highly recommended. and let us know if you agree. But what are we talking about today? Summertime's coming up, right?
Summer's coming, yeah.
Yeah. So we did one a few years ago. I think it was, what year was that? Do you remember? 2019?
2019, yep.
Okay, in 19. So Jim, you were here, but I went solo on that edition, and we called it. It was episode 60, the true cost per boat ride. So imagine that you buy a cottage, on the lake, get the boat, you have all these costs.
Yeah.
And here's some of the. I'll cut right to the chase. Okay, we calculated that it was like $1,000 per boat ride. Per boat ride. Okay. Because you have all this overhead,
Yeah.
right? And we said you're going to go up north and you're going to do a 3-day weekend, and you get 3 boat rides per week, and there's a short summer, and you have the cost of the house, cost of the boat, the jet ski, the dock, the hoist. You got to furnish the house. You got to build a deck or refinish the deck, and there's just the cost of the house, right? So like I had the house for $500,000. Forget it. Okay, it's not even close. I mean, we're talking like $800,000 now. Okay,
lakefront's only gone up.
And I had it for a boat $30,000. No, like a new boat. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
How much a new boat is. I went to the boat show, and these Benningtons are starting at like $150,000.
Yeah. I remember looking even a year or two ago, right? COVID kind of wrecked a lot of things, but I mean, man, it pushed the price of boats and recreational vehicles like way up, and they're just not coming back down.
But there's a recreational vehicle, RV.
Yeah.
We love General RV. Actually, that's where I got my travel trailer a few years back. Okay, dock and hoist for $10,000, furniture for $10,000, the decks at $10,000. I mean, I don't even think you can buy the wood for $10,000 now. And okay, of course, property taxes and insurance. Taxes are out of control. And finally, mortgage. We had this mortgage at 4%. What is it now?
Yeah,
6.5%,
we're back to
right?
almost 7 again. Yeah.
7%. So you get 14 weekends per summer, 3 boat rides per weekend. That's 42 boat rides. So we were at $1,100 per boat ride. Okay, so I don't even want to know the answer to these numbers. Okay, because I'm faced with all these expenses. Okay, but I'm just going to say $2,000 per boat ride. $2,000 is the new price.
It's hard to argue based on those numbers, and I didn't hear you include boat storage and boat maintenance and
there's another
$2,000
too. Yeah.
It adds up quick.
It sure does. So, we're not trying to, derail your fun here, okay? Because you just have to make sure that it's within your plan, okay? A plan that you can trust.
Yeah. Yeah. And going back to a podcast we did probably a week or so ago, talked about a pundit's mindset, right? Maybe it's not I can't afford, it's how do I afford? What do I have to do to increase income and to put myself in a position where I can afford that boat ride without stressing out about it every time I get on the water?
Yeah. And like Brian Tanana, a realtor friend of ours, would say, he's big into Airbnb with the lakefront, okay? So you could, Monday through Thursday have income coming in to help pay for your Friday, Saturday, Sunday stay. And there is demand, not just in the summer, but in the winter as well, which I really didn't understand, but it is there. I've seen the numbers, okay? So you can turn it into part-time vacation, part-time Airbnb, and this can work. And you could even say on the Airbnb, you're going to charge extra for usage of the boat, the jet ski, the paddleboard, the kayak. That's all extra. So there's ways that you can absorb some of these costs. But I also want to raise one other point. And this is an episode I did going back way before we were doing video. By the way, if you're not watching on YouTube, that's the best way to do it. And if you would like the video and share it, it would be very important to us. So please do that. Thank you. But before we had the YouTube channel, it was audio only, I did it on a vacation property, the anti-dividend. So if you tie, $1 million up in all these costs, right? That's $1 million that cannot be working for you as a dividend, right? Or, it could be earning 5% or whatever. Instead, it's the interest that you're paying out on these things. It's like an anti-dividend, right? You get the taxes, the insurance, the maintenance, the interest. But if you have $1 million invested, or take that million and put it into the property, now there's no dividend and there's taxes and maintenance. That's the point.
Right.
Okay. But I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here. I want you to have these things if they're affordable to you. Okay. So if we have your financial plan and it looks good, and then we add in this new cost, or we take away this investment and make it into a property, how does that affect the plan? But also understanding that nothing's permanent, okay? Maybe this is something that you want to have for the next 10 years. And now, after that, you want to sell and get that money back and put it towards another use, right? That's something that people can do too. We're always thinking of like this linear path, and it does not have to be that way. So for instance, we bought our place in 2019, which inspired the story.
Original podcast, yeah.
And the thing is worth a couple $100,000 more than what we paid for. Okay, so if I wanted to, I could sell that house right now, recoup all the costs, and have money in my pocket, right? So it's not all Debbie Downer, right? There can be opportunities too, but we just, I didn't count on that.
Yeah.
I wanted to use it.
Yeah.
I wasn't counting on
You weren't buying it as an
appreciation.
investment. You were buying it for enjoyment.
Now, will I sell it today? No way. Because I love it.
Right.
I love it that much.
Yeah.
And in fact, by the time this is live, I'm going to move out there and drive back and forth.
Summers at the lake, yeah.
Exactly. So, any closing points here, Jim?
I think you had talked about we don't want to be a Debbie Downer and all that stuff, and we probably should have brought this point up on the podcast we did a week or so ago. But
just feels like just a moment ago.
It did, and I actually think you were wearing that shirt, which is strange enough. But
it's my shtick.
But it's important to remember, we don't care where you spend your money. It doesn't matter to us if you spend it on cars or boats or vacation, whatever, right? As long as you're doing the things you need to do to make the plan successful, right? If we're hitting the savings goals and we're getting as much into retirement as we need and we're being efficient and all the things that we like to talk about, whatever's left over can go wherever. It doesn't matter to us. So I think that's important to remember.
Well said. That should be like Instagram reel right there.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So here at Peak, we believe by providing the education guidance, we can help you retire with peak confidence. We can build a plan that you can trust so you can have that confidence. And if you'd like to learn more, or if you'd like to set up some time, you can visit us at peakwm.com and schedule online. Until next week.
You've been listening to certified financial planner Nick Hopwood and accredited investment fiduciary Jim Pilat on the Finding True Wealth podcast, sponsored by Peak Wealth Management. You can learn more about Peak Wealth Management by visiting peakwm.com or follow on Twitter at nhopwood1.